Hey guys, it's Michelle. I'm back after a semester of Minerva. This video is the follow-up that I'm sure many of you guys are curious about who watched the video about why I dropped out of NYU. That video got way more response than I was ever expecting. It was really weird because at that point in my life, I had just come out of this university and this environment that I felt really wasn't for me. So I had a lot of opinions about what was wrong with it and why it wasn't for me and where I was going in my life. And I found myself back at home again in this weird in-between stage where I wasn't in one university, but I still had many months until I was to start another one. So I had my China plans and I just had all these thoughts but was also stuck at home. So I started a YouTube channel and made videos about what I was thinking, what was going on in my life. And I never expected for people to actually watch it. So the fact that there's that many views and comments especially is incredible to me. The big question I'm assuming most people are curious about is whether I am still happy with my decision. The short answer to that is definitely yes. I actually rewatched my video about dropping out and realized that I just had so much frustration towards NYU as an institution. And after my first semester at Minerva, that's just not how I feel. Yes, it was very challenging and there were so many times where I was like, wow, why did I want to do this to myself? But at the end of the day, after I recovered from that whole finals phase, if you get me to start talking about Minerva, it's literally just endless good things coming out of my mouth. And don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but I've definitely found my place. So my absolute favorite thing about Minerva is the people. I have the most wonderful, supportive, interesting, kind, and quirky group of 160 classmates, more or less, from about 40 different countries. People come from so many different backgrounds and experiences and have such a big range of opinions and beliefs about the world, different religions, that you're constantly just having these super interesting, mind-blowing conversations where you're always learning something new. Of course, this happens less once you get later into the semester and the academics really start hitting hard and all you can talk about is how stressed you are and how many extensions you have left and how to do this next assignment, etc., etc. But before all that settled in, we were staying up late because we didn't want to go to bed because we were so interested in talking about each other's beliefs and where they came from and what does God mean in Hinduism versus Islam. That's exactly the type of environment that I wanted and the one where I thrive in and feel most fulfilled. Also, on top of that, Minervans are always down to have an adventure. Whether it's just going to the park at night and chatting about life in the dark, or hitchhiking to the Redwoods forest with one of my friends, to I don't know what else, going to Bob's Donuts, which is a half an hour walk away at 2 in the morning. 3 friends and I also found really cheap tickets to go to Hawaii. That's a whole other story. Oh my god, I don't even think I'm gonna talk about that on YouTube because that shit was whack. But essentially we were on a very tight budget, so we slept in the car and camped for a lot of the time. Only ate 2 meals a day, but a good time. Always an adventure with Minervans. The final thing about the people is that they're very supportive and kind, and it feels like I'm a part of a community, which is something that I don't actually think I've ever experienced in my life before. Now this one, I don't think everybody in my class would agree with me on, but for me, being quite an independent person, not really ever feeling I fit in high school in my hometown, and then NYU being such a huge school, compared to those experiences, Minerva is a very tight-knit community. And because I generally really vibe with most of the people in my class, and I'm just an outgoing person, when I walk around the hall, I will always bump into a friend and be like, hey, how have you been doing? If you're not doing so hot, they're like, oh, what's wrong? And it's just I don't know, I've never had that before, and it's really heartwarming. On top of that, I really like the activities that Minerva has. Most of these are actually student organized. So for example, every week on Sundays, we have something called Minerva Talks. One student will sign up for a Minerva Talk each week, and Sunday night at 8:23, because that's 2023 in military time, which is our class. I know, so cheesy, but that's how it is. They give an hour-and-a-half presentation about their life, essentially, or who they are. So that's Sunday. And then every Monday we have something called 1001s. So people who are from the same country will sign up each week. They will work on this little presentation talking about their culture, maybe a little bit of their history. But the best part about the 1001s are the food. I'm gonna include some pictures in here right now, over here, pictures about all the amazing food that we have.
It's all cooked by your classmates that are all from that country, and they band together and spend days, sometimes weeks, planning what recipes they're gonna make for you. And they just put so much love and effort into this massive meal that feeds like over 100 of us.
Fun fact I learned from these 1001s, Caucasia is an actual place. There was a Caucasian 1001, and I don't mean like a white people 1001. On top of Minerva Talks and 1001s, we also have something called co-curriculars. Unlike the other two activities, this is actually organized officially by Minerva. It helps you interact with the city more and it helps you learn more about the city. So for example, one of the first ones we had was about the neighborhood that we live in San Francisco, the Tenderloin. I don't know if you know anything about the Tenderloin, but it is not the most pleasant place in San Francisco. There's a lot of people experiencing homelessness. There's a lot of drug use, unfortunately. So you see like needles everywhere. And because of the homelessness and the lack of public toilets, there's often like human shit on the ground. The co-curricular essentially explained a bit about the history of the Tenderloin. Like we went to different organizations that work in it. We met like this guy named Dell who's super cool. He's kind of like the unofficial mayor of the Tenderloin because he was experiencing homelessness there for almost 10 years, I believe, and then founded his own organization once he lifted himself out of it to help other people going through the same thing. And it was just an incredible experience overall, and I felt so much closer to my neighborhood and understood it a lot better after that. And the fourth like Minerva-led activity that I really enjoy is occasionally we have these professional development workshops. So every school has some sort of career services and career counseling, and Minerva is no different. They also have that. But they start doing that for you like your first year. And the sessions are often mandatory, but they also offer workshops. So for example, resume building, like how do you write a good resume? Cover letter building, how do you write a good cover letter? And then they put you into these professional development groups with people that have similar values. And then together you think about what's important to you and how do you turn that into a career. So really laying the groundwork for thinking about jobs in the future. And then the final thing that I'm really happy with Minerva about is the classes. Now I'm laughing right now because I don't think I would have been able to physically bring myself to say this about like a week or two ago, just because we had just finished the semester, and I literally think that I like lost my soul there for a second. I felt so empty and dead. But at the end of the day, I realized that I learned a lot and things that are very practical and relevant as well. So the first year academically is what Minerva calls foundation year. This means that every single one of us, all 160, doesn't matter your interests, are taking the exact same classes. But it's not like these massive 101 lectures that you have at other schools. It's more like what are the foundational skills that you need to be a productive, functioning member of the society. And we're broken up into these small, like, I think 18-person sections that like a bunch of different professors teach. The classes also taught me a different way of seeing situations and of solving problems, identifying like the right problem and breaking it down, and then complex systems, how do interactions on like lower levels and higher levels create these bigger properties and phenomena that we didn't expect. All these new ways of thinking have actually changed how I see the world around me, which is really wild. And then we have to apply these new ways of thinking that we learned to actually relevant problems that we see around us. So for example, applying complex thinking to understand homelessness in San Francisco, using data visualization and hypothesis development to address sea level rise. So yeah, if you couldn't tell from me geeking just now, I really do enjoy the classes at the end of the day. That kind of brings me to the last part of this video, which is looking back. If I had to remake a video now though about why I left NYU, I do think I would focus more on the personal side of it. And that's something big that I've learned after being at Minerva for a semester, which is every single institution, every company, every organization is going to have their number one priority be themselves. For Minerva, that means establishing themselves as a respected university to build this reputation as a good school. So I realized that it's not so much whether the institution or school cares about you or not, And what it really comes down to is what is their interests and does that align with your interests. It is very much in Minerva's interest as an institution that wants to preserve and improve itself to invest a lot of time and effort into us students right now. I don't know if it will always be like this, especially once they start getting bigger, but I do know that for now that is the case, and that's good for me. It's not really in NYU's interest anymore to care so much about their students individually because they already have established reputation. They're going to attract applicants and professors either way. You kind of don't matter to them, and it's not because they're shitty, it's just because it's not, well, yeah, like maybe they're shitty, but it's mainly just because it's not in their interest as an institution. And the final thought that I wanted to share, looking back on myself a year ago and that video I made, was careful what you wish for. What I didn't like about NYU was that it wasn't really for me. It wasn't challenging me enough that I could see myself 4 years down the line pretty much the same person without much growth. And that's what attracted me a lot about Minerva, because I saw it as this experience that was going to completely like turn my life upside down. That's what I wanted. But careful what you wish for, because it has been a crazy semester. And I have forgotten that to grow, you need to struggle immensely. That's not fun all the time. And also now thinking about me when I graduate Minerva, I just have absolutely zero clue where I'm going to be, what I'm going to be doing. I'm completely questioning the things that I thought I was going to do with my life, that I thought I was passionate and good at now. Yeah, that's for a whole other video though. I'm going to try to make videos when I can. Maybe that will be once every couple of months. Who knows? Thank you so much for watching, for all the support, for the insightful comments. Hope you have a beautiful day. Goodbye.